Running an online business and building a product that makes the biggest impact possible means that one thing has to be true. You believe wholeheartedly that you can achieve anything you set out to do. Now, despite all of that belief, there are parts of it that are just totally wrong because your beliefs are determined by your experience, and your experience is determined by your exposure. So this video is to expose you to the beliefs that you most definitely have if you're below 30K in monthly revenue. For context, I'm Alex and I've helped over 10 entrepreneurs directly with their mindset on scaling their online impact-based businesses. And I have full confidence that you will make more money if you understand and reverse these beliefs, which I've come across time and time again. The first is that you can't charge higher prices. Now, the thing with this is that a lot of people have an expectation of what they need to be charging for their program, their service, and it just isn't the right price at first. Most prices that you drop at the very start of your program or carrying on forwards are just an expectation set by someone else or an external opinion. And it's an indicator of your conviction in your offer. Everything that you do is so important to be able to actually just cut the bullshit and understand, okay, I'm going to charge a price that reflects the most confidence in me at first, and that will take me to better places within my business, and I'm confident in that. The only way to do that is to define a lot of money, because a lot of people just don't have that for themselves, that they don't know what a lot of money is to them. And I got this from a millionaire who I spoke to in depth about this. And he was basically just telling me a lot of people think a lot of money is maybe 10 grand, it's maybe 20 grand. But if you're aiming for above 30K a month onwards to 50 and 100, you need to understand that a lot of money is honestly not that much from what your current perspective is on a lot of money. My lot amount of money is 100 grand. That's why I say, oh yeah, that's a lot of money. But everything else below that is not a lot of money. And I had to believe that, and I had to understand that if I was ever to scale to record months, which I have done now, because of the fact that I just defined my lot amount of money. And now when I open sales calls and I've defined that, that helped me a ton. It helped my clients a ton. I was able to relay that. That price drop, it has handled all of the conviction needed, and it's really taken us forward. And that's also the main part. Conviction fuels your business. If you can get someone on a sales call, you can present your conviction within your price point. You can also do that within your traffic, your conversion, your actual sales, and your delivery. So every client that works with you or interacts with you has that sense of conviction that you know exactly how to help them. Now, charging higher prices isn't just the main part of the puzzle, but it is a big part of it. Another part is that you can't hire someone else to do the work better than you can. I made a short form video about this recently, and it's all about the fact that you have a complex within inside you, that you have all the processes figured out. There is a lot going on in terms of, okay, I know exactly what is right for my business, which is true, but there are tons of people parallel to you who have been through the exact same processes, and they are called A players, just like you, who are running their businesses or their offers at absolute peak performance. They understand exactly how to learn, how to grow, and how to understand someone else's perspective. They're very good at active listening, very good at communication. These guys are operating at a level where they can understand someone else as well as they understand their own processes, and they can work fucking hard. A players are everywhere, and you can find them in your network. You can find them on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, anywhere that you think your processes are unique and that you can't be replaced in your own business is a complete lie. You need to understand that before you even reach 30K a month, because that once you start using your leverage to build a team, there is so many parts that you need to be in understanding of, okay, I can hire someone to do this even better than I can. Next thing is I can easily do this all by myself. This is the main thing you need to figure out before you even think about hiring, because you need to get rid of that ego complex. That belief is something that you gain at the very 0 to 5K a month mark, where you've done everything by yourself, you're very confident in everything, and you understand your processes like nobody else, but you always get this. You put this in your brain whenever you start to invest in someone or you start to ask for help, where you just think, nah, I can do this all by myself. What you really need to realize is if you actually want to enact on a long-term vision, you have to do it with help. Your team will be better, your life will be better, you'll be able to actually gain leverage if you let go of that ego and you say, I don't have to do this by myself. You need a second lens to everything in your business, because you go and you develop a very strong perspective as you go along. The longer that you spend alone in entrepreneurship, isolated, it allows you to create a perspective that is harder to break. So the earlier you get a second lens on everything, the more adapted you will be to the fact that you can build a team better, you can hire the best mentor that resonates with you. And it's that point that you start to grow the most, because the second lens is like, okay, what am I doing wrong? Let's do this. Okay. And the mentor or someone else in your team says, no, this is exactly what we set out to do. currently you're going away from that vision that we set out. That is the most valuable part of entrepreneurship. If you can get a second lens and not do this all by yourself, you'll be in the money, and I promise you that. I don't like pressing into pain on sales calls. This is a huge part of what I worked on with Mosh, for example. We got on and we was at 3.5K a month, roughly, in monthly revenue. And this guy had a huge fear of pressing into pain. He didn't like the fact that when he had an emotional connection with the prospect, he ended up pushing in on pain a little bit more, and then he got a negative response. And that fueled his entire sales process for months to come. And it really killed it, because once you press on pain, you increase the gap. And not only that, you need to understand your impact. Because what your impact is, what is your impact? Well, from actual traffic to close and delivery, you are helping someone. You are solving their problems. And if you are not solving their problems, then you are not doing your job. So to understand that if you want to know your impact, you have to say to yourself, if I press on this pain, on this sales call, this person is going to get the help that they need. They're going to see that the fact that they need to make a change, and they're going to work with you on solving it. And by a month's time, a week's time from them making that decision, they're going to have the best result possible. I know that because I have the conviction in my own price point, my offer, my delivery to be able to actually help this person. That won't actually become apparent, that conviction, like we mentioned earlier, if you're not pressing into that pain, because they don't actually think that you can help them. Because deep down in the back of their head, they're thinking, I need someone to help me with this. I'm just too scared to say it. So I have a lot of pain that I'm not actually conversing to the person on call today. And I think that's really important to push past, but I just can't do it. So you need to be the one that presses on that. You need to be the one that presses and doesn't actually flinch when someone is when someone is communicating their pain to you. So please, please, please press on pain. And it sounds like it's a difficult thing to do, but trust me, it will get so much easier once you know your impact. You know that you're going to help this person. That person's going to make money. You're going to make money, and that's going to be able to have fuel for you to help more people. So next thing, I'm going to run out of X. I'm going to run out of money. I'm going to run out of resources. I'm going to lose this team member. I'm going to lose this client. I'm going to lose something. There is so much value in being just in the most abundant state possible. The abundance mindset allows you to take out all of that misbelief, and everything that you have worked towards, you can now enforce, because you're not going to run out of anything. Money grows on trees. Team members grows on trees. There is an abundance of opportunity out there. And you just need to really channel that if you want to hit big numbers in business, because honestly, no one else is telling you that. No one else is telling you that you need to be in that abundant state except yourself. You have to channel that energy, and you have to really understand the workings behind abundance, and you just have to start working on it. You have to start working on the fact that there's a part of your brain that is abundant and there's a part of your brain that is scarce. You need to channel the other side. You need to really lean into it, because really that one is bullshit. It really is bullshit, because nothing is scarce. It's an infinite game, and there is an infinite amount of everything in your disposal. You have the opportunities available, and anything else is simply bullshit. I'm telling you that for a fact whilst I fix my camera, because there is an abundance of everything that you've been looking for, period. Next, we have, is this the right idea? You're constantly second guessing all the ideas that come to mind, and in reality, there is nothing wrong with your ideas, and you just need to be in a state where any idea that you have, you act upon with imperfect action. Because imperfect action is the cure to pretty much everything. If you can act faster, you can understand more things, you can understand more data. And the only way to get to a point where you've got enough data to build your business on actual focused inputs and getting the outcomes that you actually want is to actually act upon them in the first place. And you need to do that with a lens of, I'm not going to be perfect at this. I'm going to be actually pretty shit at first. But as I do more imperfect action, those ideas are going to get better. Those actions are going to become better. I'm going to build a better product. I'm going to build a better service. If I just act upon the fact that I need to speak to people now to build traffic for my offer, or I need to build my offer in the first place, and I just need to act upon that, I need to go for it instead of looking at my landing page or my logo or anything. I don't have to have the right idea. I don't have to have anything. I just need to act upon something, no matter if it's perfect or not. Now, the next one is, this has to work, and this is to do with failure. You have to be in a state where failure is not the bad option. Failure is something that we all struggle with, and we all sort of run into at the very start, and it carries on as well, where failure is a scary thing, but in reality, it is the best thing possible. And that means you have to fail faster. Failing faster links directly with imperfect action, because you're sat in this space where you're failing so much that you have so much data and you have so much to learn from, that it's probably impossible that you won't succeed. And failure only really happens if you don't stay in the game long enough and if you quit. So the only real failure is you just not failing enough. So failing faster is a huge part, because you can gather so much data You can actually execute at a level where you are taking imperfect action and you are failing. And then really being okay with that is the best feeling ever, because you are in that space of, I'm just acting, I have inputs put in, and I've failed at this point, and I can learn so much. The people where you look up to and who have millions of dollars in the bank and they're making 50K a month on Instagram and you can see them, they have failed more times than are conceivably possible to you right now. If you have this belief system where failing is not an option, because to be honest, if this has to work, then you're already in the wrong boat, and you need to be in the boat of, okay, I'm going to fail so much at this, and this is going to be great because I'm going to have so much execution within this period here because I've failed so much. Because you can't have failure without execution, and you can't have execution without failure. So going forward with this, you really have to be in a state of failing faster. Next, I love celebrating my wins. A lot of people are going to be a bit pissed off by this, but really you should not be celebrating your wins at all. Because if you're at this space below 10K a month, or you're at this space where you're about to get a load of money in and you're about to close a deal, or you're probably in a very, very tough spot right now and you're really beating yourself up for it and you're getting into this sulk for a few days, this is where we start getting in to the level head. You need to be in a state of leveling with yourself where you're not going to celebrate your wins whatsoever, just another day, and you're not going to mourn your losses whatsoever. No matter what, you're going to fail. You're going to have great days. You're going to have so much going on, but you need to be the most level person that you can see in the room. And I can tell you that for a fact, that if you're celebrating your wins, you are emotionally attaching yourself to the outcome, which is a huge, huge, huge red flag, because it's going to be a very tough situation once you get into the lows. Really, all you need to do right now is keep that level head. And we'll go into that in a second on how you can actually get into that state of leveling. It's similar to the abundance mindset, where you get down to a level where everything is fine, you're not worried about anything, and you're not overexcited about anything either. It's a huge, huge benefit to have a level head. And that is the biggest belief that I think is actually going to move the needle a lot. Really, you should be celebrating your inputs over anything, because your inputs actually decide whether or not the outcomes come in the first place. Celebrating your wins doesn't mean anything. It just means that you had a great day today, and that is a win. Sure, it should be acknowledged and be like, yeah, cool. But you should not be in a state of emotional attachment to anything, whether it's the losses or the wins, because it's going to hurt you. It's going to bite you in the back, and you're not going to be able to break 30K a month or above. I can tell you that for a fact, because you'll just be in this state of emotional attachment. People will sense that presence, and your business will start to see this emotional attachment cycle. Next up, we have, I need to make sales to pay for things. This is short-term thinking. You need to pay for things. You need to pay for a holiday. You need to pay for your mentor really quick. You need to do all this stuff right now. I need to make a sale. I need to make a sale. I need to pay for things. I need to do it. You really don't need to be in that space, because you need to be in a space of detachment. Everything that you have that you get an outcome from, you can't be attached. It's the same with a level head, but if you're needing to make sales to actually do things, your sales process is actually going to crumble. And sales is the bloodline of your business. It's such an important thing to have a level of detachment where no matter what, you're fine with it. You're detached from the outcome. You're only attached to the inputs. You're like, I'm going to work on this today. Doesn't really matter what happens with my sales. I don't need to pay for anything. I'm just going to be able to pay for it anyway because I've done the inputs. And that's cool. I need to be working 12 hours a day. It's a huge part of what I'm guilty of, what everyone's guilty of, is that we need to be in this state of working so much. But really, all we need to be doing is the bottleneck focus. We need to have that focus on the fact that we have one thing that is actually holding back our business truly. There is nothing else. There might be one or two, but there is only one. We need to be really dialed in. Okay, what is actually the constraint of the business right now? Is it traffic, conversion, sales, delivery? I need to be an understanding of that, and I need to be constantly inputting on that. And that doesn't take 12 hours a day. It really doesn't. You can solve your bottleneck within a day, within 6 hours, and you just need to be very, very focused on that in order to get it done. As soon as you wake up, or as soon as you sat at your desk, you're not focusing on anything else. You're muting your notifications. You're locking your phone in the drawer. You just need to be focused on the bottleneck. There's so much merit in that, and I can guarantee you, once you've failed faster, you've executed on imperfect action, you're detached from the outcome, you're abundant on anything else in the back of your mind, you're just focused on the bottleneck, and you're sat there working on it, and all of a sudden, there is so much more that has been solved just by you focusing on that. And building that muscle, you'll be in such a great position to be able to scale past to 30K months and well beyond to 50 and 100. I believe bottleneck focus is a huge needle mover beyond any record month that you can ever dream or think about. And I would highly recommend, if you search up Theory of Constraints by Elias M. Goldratt, you'll be able to understand bottlenecks and constraints in a better understanding. It's going to be a huge book recommendation from me. Next, this is a very common one, and a lot of people think this, that more opportunities equals more money, which is simply not true. There's a lot of opportunities that are going to be thrown at you. They're going to be handed to you directly. People are going to be saying, I want to work with you on this. what if you do this with your business? We can make this work. We can get a lot of money out of this opportunity. And it's going to seem like a great opportunity. It's going to be a very shiny object at the time. And you'll be thinking, great, let's get started. But really, you have to be in the state of sole focus. There is nothing worse than someone else taking your attention away from what you set out to do in the first place. I can tell you that for a fact that I've had many struggles with sole focus because it's so many people who think they have your best interest and you think they have your best interest at heart, but really they are just distractions. There are so many distractions in entrepreneurship, and in order for you to actually get to a point where you're winning, you need to have this state of sole focus, because that is where you start to solve your bottlenecks, where you start to really put in the inputs, because nothing else is in your way. But sole focus just means you are sat down focusing on one thing, and that all the opportunities that are coming at you are nowhere to be seen because you don't actually focus on them. Those opportunities will come again and again, and they come a lot as you scale up to higher record months. So if you're struggling with them a lot right now, it means you're on the right path, and people are trying to take you away from your sole focus because they don't understand it. A lot of people just don't understand sole focus. It took me a while to understand it when I was being thrown a ton of opportunities during my appointment saying to running my business to everything that I had built. It was a lot of trying to focus in on one thing. And there's so much you can be doing, but really there is only one thing that you should be doing. So remember that. Sole focus, very important. And last but not least, I want to make money quickly. Making money quickly is a huge, huge red flag because you want to be in that spot where you know you're going to make money. There's an abundance of money out there, as we mentioned. But really, you are in a state of short-term thinking, and you need to be staying in the game long enough to have that long-term focus, to just stay in the game and know that you're going to make money. Because short-term, I want to make money quickly will show up in your sales calls, or people seeing your commission breath when you want to get the pitch, right? And also in your content, where people sense you're rushing in and you're just making videos and you're pushing out basic bullshit, to be honest. You don't need any of that. You don't need to make money quickly. As we mentioned, you're detached from even making money in the first place, the outcome. You are attached to the game. You know that if you just stay in the game and you put in the reps over an extended period of time, you will win. And this is something that is probably an early stage symptom that you carried on and you kept with you. But when you get and you stay in the game and you have that long-term focus, all the decisions you make will be set in that space of, I'm going to make this a long-term play. What's the 10x move long-term? Because really, short-term money isn't going to help and solve your problems. It's just going to compound them. It's going to make them even worse. And there's so many beliefs on this list that make a huge difference if you reverse them, especially that last one. And pushing into in a state of abundance, attachment, and not being in that state of need is just going to really help you. Because entrepreneurship has got so many shiny objects, so many opportunities, so many people telling you otherwise. But to be honest, it's nothing to do with what you're doing in your business. It's what to do with what you're doing up here. That really matters. That really matters long term. If you can keep this level for an extended period of time and just put in the inputs with imperfect action, so much of what you do will compound. You'll be making more money than you ever thought was possible. You'll be putting in so much work that will start to build leverage that you never have to work again. There's so much merit in all of these beliefs that you have on the right side of the screen right now. And all I want you to do is just focus on one. Getting into how we can even execute on all of these beliefs and actually get to the crux of having a second lens, knowing your impact, being in that abundant state detached from the outcome, it all comes down to meditation. Meditation is the key to be able to actually sit down and remove any negative beliefs, because you're able to put yourself in a level where nothing else matters and you're relaxed, you're self-aware to the point all of those beliefs start to come to the forefront. You can call them out. You can say, I'm the person who believes in this. Such a key thing to be able to meditate. And I even have a video which I can link up in the top right. But I have a framework called Relax Channel Continue. Relaxing just starts with you taking a new environment, smiling into your body, also known as breathing, and being in that state where you are just relaxed. You're aware of all your surroundings, and that is such an important part of everything we're about to go into the next part, because you're picturing it in vivid detail. That detail then goes into the channel stage where you're picturing a past memory or win in vivid detail because you've done that for your environment. It's so easy at this point now because you're relaxed, you're able to picture stuff, and it gets to this point where you have a vivid picture of that. And that vivid picture could be of something where you were in an abundant state. And that abundant state, when you've channeled that, you can continue that into the belief that you are now embodying. I am abundant because of this past win that I've now pictured in vivid detail. And now you're picturing yourself in the future with vivid detail once more, but in that abundant state, probably looking at your strike balance with a lot of money in it, and just knowing that there is an abundance of opportunities out there, and you can do that for all of these things. Like if you're sitting in a spot where you're trying to be perfect with this video, go sit down, meditate, and just be in a spot where like, I'm just going to be failing faster with this video. It's going to be imperfect. I know it's going to be imperfect. And I had an example of that in the past where I think it really works out with imperfect action. If you don't have it, then just act upon it and make your first memory that you can look back on in meditation and just start. Really just start. If that's the position you're in now, just start. And I can assure you, staying in the game is the biggest part of all of this. And if you can master all the above when it comes down to beliefs, then you will break 30K a month. You'll make more money just as it is. And I cannot wait for you to actually act on this because it's such an important part of entrepreneurship. But all those beliefs aside, I hope you got some value from this, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out.